Jenna.
Hi, Olivier. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, and good morning to you.
Thank you. Good evening to you.
Yes, thank you. So maybe we can start our conversation. I have a first question for you, Jenna. The two concepts of innovation and legacy are not opposed at Hermès, since the starting point for the business was founded in passion, and I think same as you. For us, that was horses and harnesses. And for you, it was rock climbing and pitons. How does all this link to sustainability at Patagonia? And how do you realize your intention to make the highest quality product?
Yeah, you're correct. This is a really big part of the heart and the start of Patagonia. You know, Patagonia actually started back in 1965 when our founder, Yvon Chouinard, partnered with his friend Tom Frost and actually began a hard goods company called Chouinard Equipment. And they really adhered to this ethos that is so a part of us today of less is more. They had built the piton, as you mentioned, which is a piece of hardware that you hammer into the rock. And as Yvon was climbing on rocks, specifically in Yosemite, but certainly all around the world, he was noticing that this tool that they had built that was really the central part of their business was actually destroying the rocks that he loved so much and that were such a big part of his passion in his life. And so Yvon and Tom went back to their forge and they reimagined a new tool. And this is a big deal. At the time, they were the #1 leading hardware manufacturer of pitons and hardware in the United States. They were, this was the staple of their business. And so the fact that they went back to the forge and they found a way to build an aluminum chalk that could be placed and then removed from the rock was a really big part of how our company got started, and that ethos of sustainability. But it wasn't just about building the tool, it was also about explaining to the climbing community at the time the harm that pitons were doing to the rocks. And they wrote an essay in their catalog that they titled Clean Climbing, in which they really encouraged rock climbers to find a more responsible, a more sustainable way of climbing and moving forward and getting them on board with moving into this new tool, the new chalk that could be replaced. And so this ethos has really been with us as we transition to Patagonia, an apparel and equipment manufacturer. We have continued to really embrace and hold deep responsibility for that ethos of less is more and for deep responsibility. We have made some really big moves over the years. Organic cotton might be one of the best examples of this. We recognized that conventional cotton was causing a lot of problems out there. And so we decided to make the move to 100% organic cotton. And I bring this one up because I think it's a really good example of not only how committing to ethics in our business has been such a core part of what we've done, but how it has not always been easy. Same as the piton, trying to transition climbers from a tool that they knew and trusted to something else that was new but more responsible was tricky and took a lot of learnings. So was moving to organic cotton, because the farmers at the time who were growing organic cotton were very small. It was a very, very small field. And so it took a lot to try to help support and build from the ground up demand for a more ethical and more responsible way of doing business. And I think that this is really important, this combination of committing internally, but also helping bring people along. And so it makes me wonder, as I think about Hermès and like your founding story and how you came to be, which you mentioned a little bit, I'm curious how that informs your approach to innovation and how it has allowed you at Hermès to produce less, so to speak, kind of this ethos that we have so strong at Patagonia, doing more with less. How does that play out at your company?
I think it's important. It's an important point in any case. And I think, as you said, Jenna, we should not oppose innovation and legacy. At Hermès, our legacy is, of course, older than Patagonia because the company started in 1837. Yeah. But we has always been a contemporary manufacturer. And innovation, I think, is a mindset. And really, we try to nurture and carrying out internally it since the beginning, since the beginning of our story. And in fact, the starting point at Hermès was a passion combined with a quest of excellence embodied through the gesture of the craftsman. Mm. And really, we apply our knowledge to craft high quality objects which evolve to accompany the evolution of society. And there's really the best example is the story of Émile Hermès, who was the grandson of the founder. Mm. And he visited the US in the 20s. And he discovered in the US that the car will replace the horse. And at that time, we were only harnesses and saddle maker. And in fact, we also were making equipment for the horse riding. Mm. And it was a complete change in our way of doing things. It was a disruption in our market. Mm. And when Émile Hermès came back in France, in Paris, he asked the craftsmen in the workshop, what can we do with our hands to satisfy our customers and to be useful to our clients? And in fact, they decided to move from saddles and harnesses to traveling cases and then eventually fashion. And it was a complete change in our business. And in fact, also we started at that time to use materials for something they were not meant for. For example, we use technical textile, technical fabrics into bags. And it was a complete innovation at that time. And I think what can we say is that we can be proud of our heritage, but at the same time, we can change anything we want if it makes change. For example, in our textile activities, so all based in France, in the area of Lyon, in the southeast of France, we have invested in unique and exclusive technology to allow the quality of the prints of the silk with less use of water and chemicals. So innovation in this case was the best way to bring, some respect for nature. But I think we should not talk about innovation without talking about freedom of creation, because freedom of creation is at the core of our strategy, as we need a strong link and a dialogue between the creators and the makers to make sustainable objects. It's what we did with Apple Computer, for example. Apple brought the technology for the Apple Watch, and we brought the knowledge of the craftsmanship for the leather straps. And it was a good meeting and a good way of bringing together craftsmanship and technology. Mm-hmm. And so it's what is important, I think, really, is to be authentic in what you do and to maintain this level of craftsmanship. For example, at Hermès was a choice. So it's what we have made for so many years, and it's why we have located all the production in France. 60% of our objects are produced internally, so we have a strong integration. Talking about the future of consumerism, Jenna, how is Patagonia rethinking the future of consumerism while staying true to its culture and its heritage? For example, I know your worn wear program. For example, it still feels very innovative to me. Can you speak on this, please?
Yeah, happy to. I love hearing your founding story and the work that you're doing, and I love this word craftsmanship. I feel that it is so important that we keep craft alive in the work that we're doing. And at Patagonia, I spoke to kind of the evolution from the piton to the chalk, from conventional cotton to organic cotton. We've had a lot of these moves along the way, and we as an organization continue to learn and push ourselves forward to be to provide better and more responsible and more products with less impact as possible. So we're learning, right? We're on this journey and we're continuing to keep craft at the heart of what we're doing. And yet what we know is that the single best thing that you can do to lower your environmental footprint is to consume less. So for all of us, consuming less, buying less means multiple things, right? One, it means if you put pressure on the companies that you're purchasing from to buy less from them. And the manufacturing industry, there is no doubt, is one of the heaviest of the polluters and the most impactful to the in this climate crisis that we're in. And so if we can get companies to make less, what that means ultimately is the onus becomes on buying higher quality and companies committing to quality and durability at the heart of what they do. And this is, you know, Olivier, this is what you and I do all day long, right? Is think about quality and durability. This is how we build trust. This is how we build loyalty with those who do come to us and purchase something. I hope that when somebody buys something from Patagonia, whether it's a fleece jacket or a shell to go skiing in, that they think of that product almost like an heirloom, something that they want to hold on to for as long as possible. And when they are ready to buy something new, that they'll pass it down to someone that they know and care about who might need that product now. And so that is how we kind of came to Wornwear and the work that we're doing on Wornwear. Wornwear is essentially a hub for us for keeping product in play. As we think about building long-lasting, durable products for our community, we want our community to have a way to easily be able to keep those products in play. Again, when they're done with them and ready to move on to something else for whatever reason that is, that they almost like gift that to their community through our Wornwear hub. And so we continue to evolve what that looks like. It's only one piece of the puzzle, but end of life has been a really important learning for us at the moment. You know, there are we have been very committed to the inputs and the way in which we create product and what we're putting into the system, how we're making it, how we're treating the workers within our supply chain. All that has been a massive body of work, and I feel very proud of the progress that we've made. Now it really comes to that middle section. How do people take care of their gear once they own it? And then what do they do at the end of its life? How do we keep product in play for as long as possible through a Wornwear program at Patagonia? How can we melt down materials and rebuild them so that we're not actually using new resources in order to manufacture new products? This has all become a really critical part of Patagonia's business model, but what I see as a necessity of the future if we are going to reduce our environmental footprint. So thanks for asking. This is a really big part of what we're doing, and certainly stems all the way from back in the days of just being aware of how pitons were affecting the rock that we were climbing on and the world that we loved, and wanting to protect it. That value, that ethos continues to live with us as we think about true circularity and how we can take responsibility and help others take full responsibility for all their products. And so my last question for you, Olivier, is really around the same kind of idea: durability, quality, craft. What specifically does that mean to you? These are such important elements. You and I have both spoken about them, but I'm curious how they link to you reducing your impact on natural resources.
Thank you, Jenna, and thank you for your answer. And I love the way you describe your impact and the fact that durability for you means something. And I think for us, it's also almost the same. So durability means quality without compromise. And high quality means durability at each stage of an integrated value chain, from the object to the people you employed, to the partnerships with your suppliers, and to the use of natural resources. And everything is linked. If we start with the object itself, I think the functional aesthetics is very important. It's what you described with your object. And I think it's the same with us. And we try to go beyond fashion trends to consider objects that are useful and that can be repaired. Very important. Circularity is also important, opposing repairability to destruction. Recycling and upcycling of materials. You know, we have created a few years a new métier called petit tâche. And petit tâche is a way to reuse objects with defects and material that we have left over. And we combine the objects and the material with the help of creators and craftsmen. And if you come to Paris, you should visit our workshop specific to petit tâche in the suburb of Paris. It's fantastic to see the craftsmen and the designers working together to create incredible objects. It's petit tâche. And to upcycle, you know, things we left behind us. Investing in research and development is also very important. For example, to develop new materials based on biotechnologies. But durability, it's not only for objects, it's also for people, for the employment. And for us, it implies to be a responsible employer. You know, maybe like a Japanese company, we commit to offer a work for life to our employees with a lot of sense and accomplishment. And to be a long-term partner also for communities and regions where we operate. We employ 17,000 people worldwide in 45 countries. We have 51 production sites located in 9 regions of France, and more than 1/3 of the employees are artisans. So, you know, it's a large responsibility. And for example, during the peak of the COVID pandemic, we decided during the strict lockdowns in many countries to maintain the salaries of our employees without using subsidies from local governments. And we also believe that training and education are to be at the core of our priorities. So we train our craftsmen for a long time. It's 18 months for the leather goods. It's 3 years for the printing of silk. So, you know, it's always a large investment and very important investment. And we do it also with the foundation. The Hermès Foundation, we have a large program in education. And we think that education is important, as the durability of partnerships with our suppliers also. And we work with our suppliers for so many years. With the top 50 largest direct suppliers, we have an average of 20 years of relationships. And of course, we have the same approach with the use of natural resources. But I think when we talk about natural resources, what we have to do is to have a scientific approach. And, you know, we ran recently a very interesting study with the University of Cambridge about silk. I don't know if you know this body inside of the University of Cambridge called the Institute for Sustainability Leadership. Yeah. And we have done with them a study, and we know that for silk, local biodiversity in Brazil, where we buy our silk, it's in the southwest part of Brazil. So the local biodiversity in Brazil benefits from carbon sequestration through mulberry trees, for soil regeneration, and reduction of agrochemicals. So, you know, it's a combination of things, but based on scientific approach. We work also with WWF because we think it's important to calculate and to try to have a biodiversity score. So all these elements combined are important for the durability of the objects. So, Jenna, it's, I think, the end of our conversation. We can continue for a long time, but it was really a pleasure to have the discussion with you. And I can tell you, we respect so much the Patagonia approach towards those subjects of sustainability. And I feel at the end that we share values and commitments to maintain a responsible and sustainable way of doing things with passion and authenticity. So thank you, Jenna.
Thank you so much. The respect is absolutely mutual. Thank you for all the work that you're doing at Hermès. And I look forward to talking with you again soon, hopefully.
Yes, and I hope to see you in Paris.
Yes, hopefully soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Gina.
Bye-bye.